I'm back. And I actually reduced my OBS latency reconnection settings to 1 second, so we'll see if that has a positive or deleterious effect. And so now that you, hey Maxpar, so here's the deal. We're gonna, looking at what we've got right here, I would like to kind of get this shot wrapped up today if I can, and I think I can, but my strong sense is that if I keep doing everything in Blender, I probably will. It's going to take really longer than it needs to. So what I think I'm going to do is go ahead and take the assets that we've got here created in Blender, use the scalability to our advantage by jostling things around size-wise so that they render out correctly, and then just go ahead and bring those frames into Krita to marry to the background and possibly add some intermediate keyframes as well, and deal with the timing, because as cool as Blender is, at the end of the day I'm really quite a bit slower, I think. So here we have the tree and the bird. So let's just do this. Step one, we're gonna let's not solo the layer. I actually guess I need to be in edit strokes mode, and then I'm going to hit the star key so that all my layers are exposed, and now I'm going to go to the bird layer. Actually, let's take the tree layer. We can see kind of the issue I've mentioned before with Blender, which is that the tree layer got a bunch of keyframes that are really erroneous. They don't belong in there. So let's move the tree, I would say, okay. Seeing stuff that looks remarkably like the beginnings of a crash, which almost never happens. I mean, I think Blender 2.9 has maybe crashed twice in the last year. But it's looking like we're spinning around and around and around, so hopefully I saved my work recently. I frankly don't have any idea if I did, because I was kind of on a break there for a while. But yeah, Blender is absolutely doing something it almost never does, which is, it looks like Blender is in screwball mode. So, oh well, no point crying over spilt milk. Let's just open up the task manager. Blender simply doesn't want to respond, so we're going to kill it. End task, and we are going to simply hope that the last time I saved it was in fact quite recently. So let's just jump up here, and I'm actually kind of glad to be bringing it up to this screen anyway. So okay, it's fine. So for now, we'll just go with it this way. We're going to jump to object mode, and let's get rid of our guide image that's mapped to a plane, because we really don't need it. Just for kicks and giggles, let's just take a look at our, take a look at our render here and see what we've got. So I'm going to hit the 1 key so I'm seeing it at actual rendered size. And it appears to me that we're not seeing our shadow layer. Okay, so what that means is that, okay, so the bad news is actually good news in kind of a warped way. Okay, the bad news is that it looks to me like that the time I spent putting the shadow layer on turns out to have been wasted. But you know what? Here's the truth. I can knock those shadows out in probably 1 minute in Krita. Yeah, Blender doesn't usually crash, so I don't even care. That is just not that big of a deal. So we've got all these keyframes, and if we wanted to have a tween between this and this, that's going to be easy to do. So what we're going to essentially do is take the stuff we've done in Blender and just render it out. So it's all good. So hitting the tab key, go to edit strokes mode, hitting the star key so that I don't have this soloed. I'm going to save my work, and now let's just kind of scan through here. And here we have the tree, and we have the bird, and the birds are going to have to be inked in Krita, but that's okay. So let's just, okay, now this is interesting. This is interesting. The Okay, Blender's about to crash again. So this is a really, 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 really freakingly weird thing. Because Blender is actually crashing right now for the same reason it crashed a moment ago. When it crashed, what actually happened was I grabbed some keyframes in the dope sheet and hit the G key to move them, and then Blender crashed. And here it's actually happening again. I will be honest with you, I've never, ever, ever seen that. Not ever. Must be something wrong with this file. Yeah, I mean, it could be. But um, we've actually got some workarounds. So I'm just going to, I saved my work a moment ago. Let me see what happens just for kicks and giggles if I just grab one key. Okay, now to be perfectly clear. Okay, so it's about to do it again. Again, I never seen this happen ever. Like back in 20 years ago to 15 years ago, yes, Blender used to crash a lot, but in recent history, no. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm not even going to try moving those keyframes. That's okay though. Like I said, we've always got a workaround. So the workaround here is going to be I'm going to render out this image sequence, and I'm going to turn the bird layer off. So like I usually do in Krita, I'm just going to keep saving every time I make a change. So we'll render out all of these, and we've got the outline of the tree, which is not actually that useful, but at least we've got it. So we're on frame 8 here. The bird is on 10, 11, and 12. So basically, let's reduce the length of our scene to 12 frames, and then let's go over to this screen and double check our settings here. And so what we're going to do is essentially pre-render this scene. Looks like our sizing is correct. Our location definitely is not correct, so we need to go to scene number 290. And so this will be instructive because it shows us how we can get material from Blender into Krita. You may already know how to do that, but can't hurt to review. So I'm just going to do pre-render, and let's do... Okay, actually I need to make a change. Sorry. Render, in my render settings, I need my OpenGL render options to be alpha mode transparent. And while we're here, you are going to get a little bit better quality if you click full sample on your anti-aliasing. And the number of anti-aliasing samples, just to be extra careful, let's bump that up to let's just bump that up to 16. And now I'm going to save my work again. Just save, save, save. And let me just check this real quick. Okay. So what I'm going to do is go into object mode. So tab key, grab the camera, and let's go on the y-axis, because I think in terms of well, actually, let me think about this for a minute. Yeah, I mean, actually, I guess this is okay. According to the storyboard, let's jump to the storyboard. The storyboard has a relative close-up of her, and actually the wide shot is with the bird, so we better roll back here just a little bit. She turned her head in the edit. She turned her head and she sort of sighed, and her body weight kind of shifted down. Then she looked back. She saw these guys jabbering and making their plans in the background. And so really the close-up is where we want to begin, is the truth of the matter. So let's see what that looks like. Let's hit the G key, zip in real close. And I would say probably let's frame it up something like that. Remember, we are We're in HD, and ultimately we've got the crop range to broadcast HD if we need it. So let's save our work there and just check what this render looks like, because I want to make sure that my ink lines, so I'm hitting 1 so I get actual size. And I would say ink lines are okay, but I'm clearly going to need to do some touch-ups in Krita. Let me see what this one looks like. Yeah, some of the flaws, but see again, these flaws you're seeing in the color and stuff are going to be like they're going to take like 10 seconds to fix in Krita. Really and truly, I'm not even joking. It's super quick to just paint over some stuff and fix it. You know, I can erase this. Boom, 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 done. As quick as I just did that with my mouse, it would be done in Krita. So, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to render out 2 versions of this. Let me save my work again, and just because I want to try, and I'm probably being stupid doing this, but I'm going to try it anyway. I'm going to turn on the bird layer. Let's just take a look. Yeah, I mean, what I'm going to do is I'm going to render this. I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the A key. I'm going to duplicate everything. I'm going to extend this out to 28. And then I'm going to put an animation key on my camera to reframe where needed. So that is a little bit of a convoluted way to do it, but I'm just going to hit the G key. So there's a key on the camera now. And stupidly enough, of course, it also added a key on this lamp, which shouldn't even be in the scene. So let's go like that. Okay, so now this will give me the ability to render everything and then jump to here. And now what I'm going to do is hit grab the camera, GY. And I said when I was talking about this earlier that I was going to put her on the rule of thirds. I actually think I probably should put her there, put her butt on the rule of thirds essentially, because we do need to be able to have the silhouette of the silhouette of the tree in there. Okay, so that would give us this. Okay, and then here, actually I guess I should say here, I'm going to go like this. Let's turn the birds off. Actually, let's just leave the birds in there. We'll paint them out. And then we can use the pencil test as a guide, so that way we'll only have to render it twice. So now the key thing here is I want to go T key and make the interpolation constant, so that when the camera switches between shots, it's just going to literally jump between its positions. So that's that. I should be able to now render out the sequence, and then I'll have the assets I can bring into Krita, and then I'll just deal with layering them and touching them up. So kind of a bit of a surprise. It's really, really unusual for Blender to be crashing or acting like really bizarre, because you know she needs some gentle touch up on her eyes anyway, and then obviously we've got to do all the lip sync. The vast majority of this would really be much easier to do in Krita, at least for me. Somebody else it might be easier in Blender, but and it's rendering a little bit on the slow side, mainly because of the OpenGL anti-aliasing that I cranked up to the highest possible level. So we'll get through that render, and then we'll come down here, and happily I already brought the original breakdown and the storyboard into a file that's called 290, so essentially we're ready to go. Okay, 290, and we're going to grab pre-render, so we're going to grab those frames, and bring them in. So boom, 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 boom. Okay, and not too bad of a memory footprint. As you can see up here in the title bar, it's still under 300 megabytes, so it's not like bringing in all those animation frames was very costly. Okay, so let's turn these off for the moment and just take a look and kind of think about what we might want to do to make this awesome. Okay. Well, I like the relative close-up. I'll probably manufacture a tween for this. That's going to be pretty quick and easy. Alright, this key, I can just hit Control-Shift-X and get rid of it. Now we've got the tree. Really, that whole sequence is actually not that useful, but what I'm going to do here is add a layer, and I'm just going to take these keys that relate to the bird and the tree and just move them up into this other layer. And then down here we've got the wide version of the shots, and then obviously wide version of the tree and the bird. So I'll just drag these up here too, and we'll call this tree/bird, and we'll call this Tia. And basically the hard work of getting organized is done. Let's just turn the tree bird layer off and work with TNR. Okay, so file, save. And normally with characters, it's probably not a bad policy to just put her in a group, and let's just go ahead and do the shadows on a separate layer. So I'm going to complete black, and then I'm hitting the G key so that I can then just go ahead and add some shadows. Then I can turn them down, dial them down to the right density. This really needs to be on raw, not curve interpolation. And so, okay, and so you can see here that we really need to turn on the preserve alpha or alpha lock, whatever you want to call it. The Krita people call it preserve alpha. But the idea is that it protects and basically protects your art so you can't accidentally paint outside the lines. Okay. So there's that. Probably a little shadow action back here. Something actually, maybe, maybe not. Probably not completely in shadow. But, you know, obviously the way she's sitting all scrumped up, she would be largely in shadow. So there's that. Okay, save that. And generally on a new layer I create a keyframe just so that the layer is going to be animatable. And then right here, boom, let's insert a key. We'll just redo the shadows. I think I'm going to need this close-up, so let's just rock and roll as long as we're here and knock this out. So let's just go ahead and put a loop there. Let's just get a little bit of color here, or shadow I should say. Based on the direction of the sun, I think we're probably going to want something like that. Working on a separate layer with the shadows anyway, so it's not like it really matters. Okay, so there's, whoops, that was not good. Okay, that's going to work. Okay, here. Hello, Krita? What are you doing? What are you doing? Getting a little out of control there, folks. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to redo the shadows here on the wide shot. So let's go ahead and again the G key. And for the wide shot, we want to keep it really simple. Just not get too creative. giving ourselves a bunch of visual noise for the audience to have to sort through. So, hey, I am back in Krita. Well, the Blender actually crashed a couple times, and so it's like, okay, why fight it? I was leaning towards taking the whole thing. I was kind of at a point where it made sense to bring it into Krita, because what I have to do now, I can do so much faster in Krita. It's just real intuitive, so it would be an exercise in trying to use grease pencil just for the sake of using grease pencil, which I think is stupid. At least for me. For some people it's great because it is a learning thing. You know, there's a value to it for sure. But for my workflow, it's just kind of silly to. Okay, so I think that's going to be that key. So now what I'm going to do here is actually just put it in erase mode and go like that, so that I can then just boom, 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 boom. And I'm not even 100% sure that this particular pose in a wide shot is going to be necessary. Frankly, don't know, don't care, because it's so quick to, you know, slap those shadows in and know that it's going to work. So why worry about it? Okay, so back here we kind of have the same situation that I forgot about. So let me just go like this. We've got shadows here that are making it look like her arms are still down there when they're not. So okay, so now here we go. Boom, boom, boom. And you know, it's possible that when it's all said and done, the you know, I may not like the look we get from the Blender grease pencil, but it looks to me like we're okay. Looks to me like our ink lines basically look pretty good. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. Looking at the comments, in Tahoma you can vector draw with auto close. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Two just an interpolation of different body parts in the timeline. Yeah. Yeah. I'll just say, yes, Soda Pop, you're right. I am very aware of that. If that if that approach actually made sense for me, um, A, I'd probably be doing it, and B, well, let's just leave it at that. I'd probably be doing it. But yeah, I'm quite aware of the capabilities that are available to us in OpenToonz and Tahoma. I think that the vector shape auto close has been around for quite a while. What's new is the auto fill option. It's been many, many, many moons since I made much of an effort to work with vector levels in OpenToonz, because when I did try to work with them, they turned out to be so much of a non-starter from the standpoint of coloring that I just said, you know what, it's not that they're not okay, you know, it's not they're not kind of usable, but in practice basically they're not usable. You know, and it's just and it's not the worst thing in the world, but there's a big difference between software features that are in fact there, that are available, and software features that are usable. A lot of times there's kind of a big difference, actually. So, not going to necessarily be cracking on anybody in particular, but that's been my experience. And my standard of what's usable may be very different from someone else's, and so obviously other people may form a completely different opinion. And in fact, Darren has said, obviously just today, I think he said, you know, hey, look, dude, I use vector layers in Tahoma, and they work for me, and so I respect that. If they work, they work, and for whatever you're working on, if that's the right tool for the job, then by all means, you should use it. Okay, save this. Okay, in this particular case, one of the key questions is going to be whether we're going to bake this stuff together. I'll say this. I think I'm going to jump up on my other screen and just close Blender. So I'm not going to bother switching screens, because you know, all I'm doing is closing it. But here in Vegas, let me just look at, okay, actually, fortunately, I've got these. Yeah, I mean, it looks to me like my shadow layers are probably just about correct in terms of their density. So, um, what's it set at? Let me put it at 12 and just see what that does. I think it was at 16 before. I'm gonna just kind of, I think because of the way the sunlight is. Let's just split the difference and call 14 good. I think we can do that. Okay, so for Tianara, we shouldn't bake them together yet because there is some cleanup to be done. So now I'm going to actually go into cleanup mode, and we're going to be moving kind of rapid fire here. So what I want to do is grab my pencil and also grab my kind of typical ink color, and I'm going to come back here and I was actually a little freaked out by the chat because it was looking to me like I'm seeing the some of the old chat from earlier today. Oh, okay. Now that's a surprise, Darren. I thought you were saying I don't use vector levels too much. They break too much for me, but I found a couple uses. Okay, so for the tweening, basically for the tweening, they're useful. But other than that, generally they break a lot, and that is true. Amar. Come on, man, get a life. There must be something better to watch than my stupid YouTube channel. Okay, I'm kidding. All right, so I'm gonna hit the B key, and now I gotta just get busy and let's just touch this up and start making this look a little pretty. All right, so I'm gonna go slightly darker than normal just because that's kind of what I had in Blender, and I don't think it really matters too much. So let's give TNR's eyes a little bit of cute. Let's just soften them up a little bit. Okay, hitting the 5 key and the N key to get the actual size. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say, I'm going to compare. Yeah, I mean, I was kidding when I said get a life. Just fiddling with you, man. I don't know. I mean, actually, on balance, I'm looking up on the storyboard, and it looks like the overall look and the quality of the way I did the eyes and stuff, it's all looking like it's matching up pretty well, actually. Now, I am going to add a little bit of a shadow here. Okay, and now all I'm doing is just, I'm going to just toggle through the frames and just touch some stuff up. So I'm basically stealing the ink color. Let me hit H and see. Yeah, I suppose this is the color I really have been wanting to grab. So yeah, let's do that. So I definitely like, I never really was aware of that feature in Krita until recently. But being able to just hit the H key, which obviously it's over here as well. You have a palette. So Krita gives you a running story of the colors that are currently active and in use in your shot. So that's definitely useful. Okay, so we'll call that good. This is just a duplicate of this. Let me just double check and make sure, but yeah, this is a duplicate, so this really could just be dragged into there. Okay, and I would say kind of, sort of, maybe. That actually kind of works. So now, again, gonna grab, just steal that color, hit the B key for my brush, and just go in here and kind of get that in there. Okay. So now, of course, the problem with what I just did is that these eyes are all on a separate layer. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fix that right now. Here's how I'm going to fix it. First of all, number one, get rid of the duplicate. We don't need it. Okay, so the only thing changing here is eye blink, eyes look left, eyes open up, and then we go to a different pose. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, there's more than one way to skin this cat, but I think what I'm going to do is duplicate the layer and call this eyes. And then what I'm going to do here is on this layer, let me see if the eyebrows change. They really do a little bit, but I am going to take the S key and just grab this whole region and then hit Control Shift I, and then I'm going to go delete, 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 delete. Oh, I don't want to delete that. Well, actually, if the truth be known, this layer, or I mean this cell, and this cell can be deleted. Yeah, okay, and we'll hit insert there. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely would seem that the, let's turn off the eyes layer now and go back to the T layer. It would seem that maybe it kind of sort of feels like I'm working a little harder than I normally have to. I don't know if you guys are sensing that, but I find that when I don't are on a separate layer. Okay, here we've got this. This is just going to have lip sync added to it, but there is a little cleanup required. So, now, question. Okay, so now what does that do for me? Well, in the TNR layer, now I can take these three keys and delete them, because the only thing that changed in those three keys were her eyes, and I put those on a separate layer. So now I've got, so now if I needed to, I could just make any, if I make any changes to her body, it's going to propagate across the other frames. So that's kind of useful. All right, so going back to check my messages. Vector always gives superior line work, and you can recycle throughout the timeline. Also, gradients are always a click away, and they are convertible. I will disagree. I do not agree that vectors always give superior line work. What vectors do is give you cleaner, sharper line work. But that's not necessarily superior, because a lot of people prefer the roughness of hand-drawn lines. So it's truly a matter of opinion. In my case, obviously, I'm using vectors because everything you do with the Blender grease pencil is, for all intents and purposes, vectors. So nothing wrong with vectors, you know, from where I sit. I just generally don't. I'll put it this way. Because you're not dealing with a pixel grid, okay, it's like working in Inkscape. You tend not to think in terms of, here's a flat canvas and I'm going to draw, and I'm thinking in terms of overlapping things with blending modes and all that sort of thing. I'm not thinking that way when I'm working with vectors. When I'm working with vectors, I'm thinking in terms of objects and organizing my space. Organizing my layers and organizing my objects so that, usually for purposes of reusability, which again is probably a key reason to use vectors, is because since they're scalable, theoretically you could take your finished character, drag it into any new scene, and reuse it, right? Which is definitely useful. I would say with Tia, I probably need a little bit of a boob shadow right there. Okay, so now a little bit of cleanup on the Tia layer. Let's just zip down here, hitting the G key and then E. So if what you're after with your outlines is really, really clean lines, then definitely vectors can be a big win. And by the way, I most definitely that's not what I'm after with this particular project. Um, and I saw, Ed Tadeo was saying the same thing the other day when he was live streaming. He was talking about the fact that he likes to draw outlines in kind of a sketchy, loose kind of manner. He just likes that. Especially if you're doing something, if you're doing Family Guy and you're looking for something that is always in 3/4 view, by far you're probably going to do better to do things arguably with vectors, but certainly at a little higher resolution, so you're giving yourself the ability to reuse your assets, set up a rig, and just reuse them over and over. Only way I ain't using vector for animation is if I'm using pencil and paper, which I prefer. That is absolutely your prerogative, my friend. I can vouch for that to a degree, since this whole scene that I'm working on today started out on paper, as you can see. So I mapped the whole thing out on paper while I was waiting for Valerie this morning while we were taking care of some business. So don't want to solo my layers. And turn that back off. Okay, so now we got this. I expect that this probably doesn't require as much touch-up because Blender would have, Blender pretty much resolved it. Little cleanup there. Little cleanup there. Is wrong right now. I think there might be a layer disconnect. This stuff can be deleted. We don't need any of those in there. That was confusing things a bit. So that's better. Glad we got that under control. Okay. So we got the close shot, and then we've got the wide shot. And I would say, correct me if I am wrong, but I think I've only done it this way because I need to look back at my plan and remember which shots are used when. It's actually going to start out with the wide shot. No, it's not. Damn, total dyslexia moment right there. It actually starts out with the close shot. It's a close-up, and she hears the bird chirping, and then she kind of goes like that. Oh, sure, you can chirp. You're free as a bird. Okay, so 30 seconds to look at like the Futurama stuff Darren did was very clean and more suited for the style of animation I just mentioned. Yep. Futurama's a little bit of a mixed bag, though. I don't quite put Futurama in the same camp as Family Guy, because Family Guy is going to be everything is 3/4 view, whereas Futurama, there's actually a little bit more of full hand-drawn 3D kind of stuff going on. On the Acme animation. Okay, cue the Bobby Brown music. Right on, man. I actually had to do a remake of that song in around 1988. Can't remember what we changed the words to, but I had to reproduce the music so somebody could sing a knockoff. Had my Gumby haircuts and it's a self-portrait. Just to jump in a second, my Futurama characters were drawn on Toonz raster level. See, I thought they were. But I used vectors for some parts of the backgrounds mainly. Thank you for clarifying that, Darren. Coming to my rescue here, since I'm the one who's kind of on the soapbox about it. No wonder the background looks so great. Yeah, there you go, Soda Pop, right? The background looked great because it was vectors. That's funny. Okay. Okay, guys. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually take everything here, hit the Alt key, and move this stuff all downstream to here. Okay, unless it doesn't work, which is kind of what just happened. So let's turn this layer on, and let's see if we can grab all of these, and there we go. That's what we were trying to do. Okay, and I'm going to move them way downstream. Okay, so we need to be at 8 frames a second, and I'm not going to bother with the background at this point. All I want to know is what is my opening move, and my opening move is going to be this sequence right here. So we've got Tia, eyes, and shadow. So I'm going to grab these guys, and we may wind up reusing some of them, but I'm going to drag these guys back. Okay, and now we got to think about timing. Essentially, it's going to be at least 1 second, I'm thinking. So birds are tweeting. Yeah, and this is obviously way freaking too early. So let's just jump this forward to there. The wide shots I inadvertently just moved because they are in fact on the same layer, so that was kind of dumb, but that's okay. I'll just slide them back here. All right, so now here's the birds. That's not too bad. Oh, sure. Okay. Let's look at the plan. Solo that layer. A key, so I can drag this around. Okay, so she hears the birds. Okay, yeah, so I did this 2 different ways. I have to confess here. What was initially in my storyboard and what I actually did in this plan today don't quite match. So that's my bad, and because of that I may have kind of made some mistakes here, but that's all right. I'm going to just kind of make it work. Okay. I would say Toonz raster levels are definitely more reliable. Okay, so here's my thinking is I think what I'm going to do here is I am going to take this whole thing and move it forward 2 seconds. And then I'm going to grab this, Shadow and Tia. Tell you what I'm going to do here. I guess I'll keep them separate for the moment. Okay, so I'm going to bring these back here. So that way we can have the wide shot. Cuts to close. Okay, so we got the wide shot. She's hearing the birds chirping. It cuts to close. I feel like this happened just a little too quick. So I want to definitely let this breathe. It's what I used to tell my actors all the time when I was directing them. I would say, let it breathe. They'd come back, you know, and they would really... my actors used to always crack on me and quote me on things that they'd hear me say over and over and over on the set, and "Let it breathe" was one of them. You know, let your acting be err on the side of making it slower. Okay, so now let's go back to here, and I'm going to hit the A key again and just look at this for a minute. We got the blink in there, and then it's supposed to go to the wide shot. I don't think that's actually necessary. I'm going to come back here. I think blah blah blah, boom. Okay, let's put in a tween. I say we put in 1 tween here. So let's do it this way. Let's copy. We'll copy these over here. And then we've got to get from here to here. So I'm basically going to put 1 insane tween in here. So on the Tia layer, we're just going to try doing it the old simplest way possible, which is, whoa, that wasn't supposed to happen. So I'm just going to rotate this, and I'm going to break her arm. And you know, and this might not work. This might not work, but I think it's going to work. Okay, I'm going to actually hit the G key and just bite, hello, erase I say. Okay, bite a little piece out of that, then bring that over here, S key, A, like that. Okay, and now let's go Control Shift A so nothing is selected, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this brush right, if I recall correctly, I believe it is this one. It's a paintbrush. It's got a really nice smear characteristic, so if I turn it down about halfway, it tends to do a good job of picking up the color underneath it, like so. I'm going to go ahead and sample that color so I can actually paint it in here like that, and then turn it back down. Okay, I'm just going to jump here and kind of see what my vector of, to coin the term vector, by the way, my vector of action is. And, you know, like I said, this might not quite work. We'll see. It's certainly worth a try. And at 8 frames a second, boom. Okay, it seems a little quick to me. I mean, it seems a little, golly, I do that so often. I'm saying the opposite of what I mean. This is one of those things. See, like this, if this was at 12 frames a second, this would probably look really good. Yeah, see? So I'm going to reserve the right to change my mind by leaving it in there. So at this moment, I would say that tween is a good win at 12 frames a second, and it's a detriment at 8 frames a second. So we don't have to decide at this moment. The main thing is, how does the scene play out? So right now we've got the wide shot. We're going to get the tree in there, obviously. And we hear the birds chirping, so the birds are kind of an important component of making the timing play out here. All right, I'm going to check my messages. But even the backgrounds were almost okay. I love the plan that you made on paper. That's great use of your time away from the computer. Well, I'm trying to, you know, right now I'm into, this would be 4 hours at this point, so I'm really trying to get to the point where I'm consistently delivering, you know, about 30 seconds of show per day. If it's not 30, I can live with that, but I really want to do 30 a day, because if I can do 30 seconds of show a day, that means I need 48 days to animate a show, and so essentially 8 weeks, and then that gives me a month. Typically I could write a script for a 24-minute episode in 1 week pretty easily, and then you got 3 weeks for, well, I mean, voices really only take a day, so you basically got 3 weeks for scoring and post-production. So realistically, I mean, the first 1, 2, 3, the first 3 movies, actually the first 3 movies that I made for Parables, and then I made one for BMG, were made, and the one that made $1 million, by the way, Healed by Grace, was made in 6 months, start to finish. The first 2 movies were made in 4 months each, start to finish. So you can do it. It's a lot of work, but yeah, okay, Steve Riggs. Yeah, I mean, I totally am down with, if you're into doing things the old school way on paper, I think it's great. I just kind of have a problem with the efficiencies of it. This kind of works for me because I can just map out. This allowed me to know exactly what I'm trying to do. And frankly, to be really brutally honest, if I had executed this plan directly in Krita and not tried the Blender thing, I suspect it would have gone a little smoother. It's like I said, I feel like I'm working a little harder than I should be because I'm having to sort of compensate for, it's basically got to do with data organization, organizing my layers and figuring out, if I was working straight ahead in Krita, I would generally not make those mistakes, the organizational mistakes. But is it really necessary that the tree be the tree that I had over here, or kind of in the spirit of what I was saying a moment ago, maybe the solution here should be to go to the tree layer and go like this. Okay, and then we'll just kind of fill that in. Okay, so the question is, why am I even going to try to preserve the work that I did in Blender? Why? How is that helping me compared to just saying, no, I mean, as long as I'm here in Krita and I know how to use the tools, why don't I just redraw the freaking tree? I think the answer to that question is pretty obvious. The answer is just redraw the freaking tree. Okay, so as long as we're here, this shot is going to require the bird. So it actually is going to probably turn out, I'm going to actually change the name of this to tree, and I'm going to begin to work a little more straight ahead. Okay, the bird in the beginning of when we first see it is essentially in silhouette. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow this plan structurally. Okay, so structurally, if we go find our bird, what we see is that the bird consists of a circle, and then sort of the breast or whatever shape, and then the body, the tail, the legs. That's basically what we have. So let's see if we can do that. We're going to do it in silhouette, and we'll go just a little north of black for this. And now let's look at our composition. Okay, again, we're supposed to be in the bird layer, and we probably should insert a keyframe. Okay, and I meant to have the G key selected, not the B key. All right, boom. Okay, I'm going to chisel a little bit of this back out, I would say. Okay, so there's our silhouette of our bird. Let's say we've got these thigh thing going on, and then the little cute little legs. Yeah, Zuko, I'm drawing a bird. That's just like you, isn't it? Zuko's being pretty quiet this afternoon, I must say. Okay. So, okay, there's our bird, and he's chirping. So I think what I'll do is, just for lack of a better idea, I'm going to put this on 3s at 8 frames a second, hit the A key, and I'm just going to kind of play with it. Okay, and I'll just patch that one. So Control-Shift-A, G key, boom, 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 and the E key, so it goes into erase mode. Whoa, that was not exactly what was intended. Okay, and let's just see how it feels. Nope, that's not quick enough, so I'm going to actually just compress this back together. Well, you never know what you're going to get, right? Life is like a box of chocolates. Tweet. Okay, now let me see this. Alright, I'm going to swing that down there, put that there, put this here. Okay, that big jump there is not quite working, so let's just get rid of that. Again, I would say that's not quite working. And it's usually good policy to let things start after half a second. Okay, not horrible, not horrible. So let's go boom. And I think I'd like to see maybe his neck come back down. So tweet, 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 tweet. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back here, and wow, a lot of comments. Paper and digital are the same, except you can draw much more complex in pencil. Yeah, pencil is great. That's true. Scan your anime. That's true. More and more anime studios are switching to digital because it's faster and more efficient. Generally speaking, that's true. I can't draw half as good on a computer as I could with paper and pencil. It's a fair point. It's a fair point. But I guess that's just me. That's why I use vector when I do. I agree. It's faster and more efficient. Okay. Good discussion. Good discussion. Look at that. So I think that, and think about this too. When we enter this scene, I'm thinking there's going to be a very slow push in. Okay? And now I want to insert a key here. And on the tree layer as well, insert a key. And so now we've got some actual storytelling starting to emerge. Again, imagine that it's going to be a little bit of a push in. She notices the bird. Oh, sure. This is not too bad, guys. Okay, so now on the tree layer, I'm actually going to delete everything because it's candidly just not helping me. It's just not helping me. What I need is right here. And little push in. Okay, could be, I will say that perhaps, Mr. Editor here, I think maybe this is coming in just a little early. Again, this is a great example of, so, I'll tell you, McCartney, that guy could screech. There was a song I heard on the radio just today that I haven't heard in years. I think it's called, what was it? I See Through You. McCartney could wail. He really was quite the singer. He still is. At 76 years old or whatever, he actually can still hit the high notes. That's very rare, but he's been able to. Okay, I'm going to just jump back to here and just hit solo. I don't even need to turn the layer on because when you go into solo mode, any layer that's shown will automatically appear. So she says, oh, sure, you can sing. Okay, so let me consider this for half a second. We've basically taken what's here up to about this point, and we've pretty well matched the spirit of what I planned out. But what's missing is this bird action. So she says, oh, sure, you can sing. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Jump back out of solo mode. So here's what's supposed to happen is she's hearing the bird chirping. Tweet, 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 tweet. Oh, sure, you can sing. You're free as a... And then she stops herself. Okay, so let's look here. Okay, let me get the timing on this. Oh, sure, you can sing. You're free as a boop. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to insert a key just kind of as a reminder to myself. Okay, let's go half a second. So there's going to be a little expression in her eyes. And I'm actually going to kill all of these. Boom, gone forever. I may regret that, but I don't think so. Because we've got the wide. Okay, so let's go to this. Yep, this is starting to come together. I see what I'm doing. All right, so now on frame 72, well, 73 actually, I'm going to hit rewind here, and I'm going to grab the tree and the bird. I'm going to grab the bird and the tree, drag them to 73. Okay, and then what's got to happen here? Oops, that was a mistake, by the way. I need to hit control drag so that I make a copy. All right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go control drag here. We'll see how this works. I've got something in mind, so I'm just going to kind of see how it plays. Let's just do that and see what happens. Yep, that worked. Okay, I know what I'm doing here. Okay, so now what's going to happen is we're going to get here, and then we're going to cut to the close-up of the bird. So we're going to have a reaction on her eyes. My instincts are telling me we probably want to give it a little bit more time. Oh, sure. Nope, actually not. What we actually need to do is grab all these and take the whole kit and caboodle and move it downstream. Why? Well, because here I'm going to take this Tia frame, put it there, and now we're going to do a little distortion here on her eyes. We're going to hit the A key, go into liquefy mode. And again, here we have the quintessential problem that you do have from time to time in Krita, which is that I'm clicking down here and operating in the timeline, but it does not change what frame I'm in or what layer I'm in. I need to explicitly get back here to the T layer. So, my bad. My bad. I'm going to actually use expand mode. And I'm going to put my cursor right there on her eyes. Like that. We'll accept that. And I think just a little, oh, come on now. I said switch. Just a little lift here. And here, I'm putting it on a different key because I just don't know for sure if this is going to work. But and now I need to check my spacing here. Okay, so she's essentially interrupting herself. Okay, stop everything. What the flaming heck just happened? Why did I wind up back here? Okay, sorry about that. Okay, yeah, kind of, sort of, maybe, but let me move these back one frame. Let me give it one frame of breath. Boom. Okay, so why do we have in the bird layer, why do we have this empty key here? That's erroneous, I am pretty sure. And so what we need to do is let this breathe a little bit more. So I got to get the timing on her vocals. Oh, sure, you can put down. Yeah, and then the switch to this shot is happening way too freaking fast. Okay. Okay. Just checking the old message board here. Sorry, gang, I gotta go. See you, Darren. Take care. Have a great day. Blah 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 blah. Absolutely. Back in the day, they didn't have auto-tune. See you, Darren T. The original film. I watched series 2 the other day. It's a great series. Cobra Kai. I was watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Named my son after Daniel from the film. Huh. Wow. Cool. Okay. Okay. What time is it anyway? Actual time. Man, it's almost 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Okay, and by the way, this is an example right here. let me check something. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to save my work, and then I'm going to check, because I'm finding myself really being tempted to jump to 12 frames a second. Yep, I'm going to stick with 8. I'm getting rid of the big eyes. That actually works better. A blank, yeah, a blank a blank blink works better for sure. Anyway, so okay, so now what I want to do is buy myself a transition to get her arms down. So I think I'm going to go back to my original plan. Okay, my original plan. So I'm going to boldly delete all of this. And here, okay, so we're going to go blink, blink, boom, right there. Okay, so here we're going to insert a key. Her eyes, insert a key. Her shadow, insert a key. So now we're getting into somewhat dangerous territory, because normally it's pretty bad policy to try to pack so much into a scene in Krita that you're effectively editing. You're using Krita as your editor. That's almost never a good idea. I'm allowing it just this one time. Okay. So we got the tree here. So I'm going to sample this color. Let's get into the tree layer. Go to the tree here. And I'm going to go boom, boom. Okay, sorry. I need to hit the G key. And I'm going to go like this. And let me just double check. Yep, that's okay. So we can go like this. Maybe just a little branch there. And blah, blah, blah. We're good to go. And now we got to get to the bird. And the bird was essentially, let's just look at the background here, or the plan, I should say. Let's solo that layer, and we'll see. This is what I had planned to do. So you got the bird with his beak up in the air singing, and then he stops, and it's basically 4 beats: singing, stop, stare, blink. And that's kind of cool, because what the bird's going to do kind of echoes what Tianara did, right? So we'll start with the bird's body, and let's go to a somewhat more neutral color for the bird. Geez, what do we want to do? I mean, he was really in silhouette before, and I wanted to be pretty dark, but so I'm just going to add something on that frame and check something. Okay, so this is a fairly skinny bird. Let's take the tree, A key, shift control. I'm going to go like this. And now we'll go to the bird and hit the G key. Nope. Darn it. He's still going to be mostly in silhouette. Chicken legs. So pose 1 is singing. We'll probably animate that a little bit, but let's go sing, stop, sing, stop. Okay, here I'm going to hit this, A, G key, Control, Shift A, so nothing's selected, G key, and what's happening here is the bird's going to stop and look at her. So that means that the beak should actually be closed. Let's just chisel that off. Yep, this will work. So we're going to have the bird singing. All right. And I'm going to stick with my timing here. I'm going to have to increase my frames to 120 and see how she goes. But sing, stop, sing, stop, turn. Okay, so this was going to be S key. Grab the S key, make a selection, hit the A key, and then right mouse click, mirror horizontal. Right? Get it? Get what's going on here, folks? And finally, we're just going to keep to this timing because it seems to feel pretty good. And then all we're going to do is add that key right back there, copy of it. We're doing the same gag we do with the monkey. So G key, grab that, black. Hopefully this will work. Okay, we're going to want to delineate a little bit on the shape of the beak, but actually I think other than backgrounds and small details, I think the shot's done. Okay, so where does the day go? Isn't that the truth, man? My days have been going really fast since I've been working so much on this thing. Yeah, I'm usually a pretty lazy bum, no doubt about it. Okay. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Oh, sure. You can sing. You're free as a... Okay. I would say we probably want to make this one back a little closer. Maybe move that up. Okay. And then this change is not quick enough. Oops. Let me redo that. Oh, actually, maybe that was right. Okay, let me see. Change bird stops. And then I would say let's let this part breathe a little more. Boom. Boom. Okay, that's too late. Sometimes just a frame or two makes a huge difference. I like it. I like it. So that's the whole shot. Let's keep rocking. What time is it, I said? I've been going here for 1:19. So this is probably going to stretch out to 5 hours. But it's not the worst thing in the world. 120 frames at 8 frames a second is 15 seconds? Is that right? Have I got this? I think I have this wrong in my head. Maybe I'm right. 120. Yeah, I guess that is. Well, it's still doggone respectable and it looks cool, so let's just keep rocking. Okay, so here, let me simply drag this in as a new layer so I can kind of look at this. And let's just see. This is going to be a bit of a risky behavior, but you know what? I'm going to fiddle with it. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of a quick thingamajig here. Whoops. Well, I mean, that's okay. Okay, a little shadow action, yada, yada, yada. And then what I'm going to do is expand this a fair amount. And control, rotate, and unfortunately, the bad news is we got a good bit we got to fill in. So, and the rock is too freaking big, so, and live and learn. It was worth a try. It's actually not horrible. It gets me started. it gets me started. So there's that. Let's just let's just do it, man. Let's just do this. Let's do this thing. Boom. And we'll go in and refix it here in a second. So I'm getting this. I still have this on the freehand path tool. So all right. So now we really need to switch to brush, so we can get some shadow action going here underneath our lovely girl. And probably get rid of the most of the rock there, I'd say. So I'm going to go back to this, and alright, that's not exactly horrible, so sorry, I got hit the wrong hotkey. Okay, I think I'm in kind of sort of good shape here. Now this is going to be, I mean, this background should be very, very, very simple. So, because it's a tight close-up. So honestly, I probably should just grab this and see how it looks. Okay, that's definitely not working. Okay, that's really annoying. Really annoying. I know what the problem is. I made a quintessential mistake yet again. And the quintessential mistake is you've got to insert a keyframe. Otherwise, your layer will not, any changes you make to the layer are just going to be, are going to propagate back to your original. So you've got to have an animation key in there. All right. Now, on this particular one, what I'm seeing right here is a bigger problem than some of you out there might realize, actually. Yep, gotta go, Dave. We'll see you next time. Okay, Inyo-san, thanks for hanging out. Okay, so what's basically wrong here is I need to really tint this a bit. I need to kind of hem her in and give this a little bit of vignette action. That helps actually quite a lot. And now it would not be exactly a federal crime to now go back to my foliage brush and watch the magic. Look at that. Just by doing that, it really drives it home that there's a tree up above her. So that worked out well. Okay, so we got this. Now we could, if you want to be strict about it, we could be strict about it and say, okay, well, if you're going to do that there, Dave, then really don't you think you probably need a branch or two up here in the tree? I'm going to just undo all that and do it in more of a silhouette type of motif. That's a little too much. That probably works. Okay, we've got to add some texture to the tree, obviously. But link. Ooh, okay. Bird. That's an interesting situation. That is an interesting situation. I'm going to hit Control M on the bird layer and see. Let's just see what happens. We really probably need to do this So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to all my other bird layers or bird cells and hit Control F. And then what we probably need to do is take our B key, take our pencil, let's see how that plays. Boy, that's hard to see, isn't it? Well, let's hit the N key. So that's the actual size. I'm going to actually make the pencil slightly bigger so that I can just drive this home a little bit. I think that's probably okay. You know, one could argue that perhaps the beak should be, I should put a little bit of a tint on the beak, maybe like an orange tint or something, but we are definitely in the zone. I need to do the lip sync. Obviously, let's see here. Let's slow our butts down here just a little bit and remember that right here, that background definitely ain't working. Although it's not completely horrible. Not completely horrible. But really what we need to do is let's grab this and just kind of drag this down a bit. I want to actually see what that feels like. Okay, it's not very good. But what I want to do is we're looking up at him. So really we need to just erase this and replace it with a sky. So I would say. So why don't we just do that in the simplest way possible, which is to hit the G key and go like this. And then we will get a big ol' okay, and now let's get some nice saturated blue in there. And then we'll smack a couple clouds over top of it, and I think we'll have a pretty decent looking sky. Alright, so fortunately Krita helps us out with these brushes that are sort of cloud friendly. Now I just went way too far with it, way too far too quick. Edit, redo. Okay, and now I want to just let's just smack a few in there. That feels pretty good. You know, again, we need to add some texture to the tree. But I think all in all, we're in pretty good shape. So let's add the lip sync. As long as we're here, let's just rock and roll and do it. So M-O-U-T-H. Typically I do that in black and then turn the opacity down. So mouth. If I insert a key here, we'll have an empty key back there. So oh. Whoa, that did not work. Oh, sure. Nope. You can sing You're free as, whoa, that's not right, but I'll go back and fix that. Oh, actually, she never says the word, so I'm going to actually erase. Oh, sure. You can sing. You're free as a... Okay. So now we'll make some adjustments here. That mouth shape is obviously a little bit stupid. I'm going to grab this and actually do a mirror horizontal and then try to clean it up a bit. GE. Okay. It'd be good if when I hit the E key it actually registers that the E key got hit. Hello? Sure. You can say. Okay. This starts a little too late. Oh sure, you can sing. You're free as a... Okay, she's saying free as a bird, but... Okay, so that key needs to not be in there. Okay, I think we're in pretty good shape here. Let's turn this down a bit so it sits in the mix nicer. And as you guys can see, we are actually starting to shape up. Still got a good bit left to do on the tree, but I'm definitely running out of gas here and probably going to want to just go ahead and quit and finish it up probably tomorrow morning. You know, it's feeling pretty good. I'll tell you what, as long as I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go to the tree layer, grab white, G key, turn our opacity way the heck down, and let's alpha lock it. Probably not too far off what we need. So I'll just kind of maybe put a little bit of a hollow-ish thing there in the tree. But yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of a shadow action underneath this branch. And truthfully, that whole area should be slightly lost in shadow. How about this? Okay, the tree's gone there, and so here we've got the tree as well. The tree's going to be largely lost in shadow on this shot, so we'll give it a little bark texture. Boom, 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 and now let's give it a bit of a highlight here because the sun is catching, catching the top of the branch. Little bit here. Okay, and that's feeling pretty good. So it doesn't take long, especially when it's on the cartoony side. Okay, so I'm going to do one more thing here on the bird layer, methinks. I'm going to try this. I'm actually going to go to the bird layer and I'm going to see about maybe, tell you what, let's put the bird layer, or put the bird in a group, and add another paint layer. Actually, let's not do that. Let's duplicate the bird layer just so that okay, not additive, probably we'll do lighten mode. Okay, so that way I've got all the keys already in there, and now what I don't have to deal with the opacity. I can alpha lock it this way, okay, so that I can go like this, and now I can just go down the line, and you will see that once we tone this down a little bit, it's probably going to look pretty good. Wonder how the election turned out today in Georgia. Alright, so here we've got essentially kind of the opposite situation. We got the sun grabbing him from over here. Okay, and actually stop. Let's say these can be gotten rid of. Okay, and now we can take this layer and ease it in, kind of like that. And I would say this right here, let me sample that color. It's a little bit too blatant on that edge. I don't know if what I'm saying necessarily makes perfect sense, but here I would say maybe it's a little bit much. I really need to see his beak right there. Okay, let's see how it looks. Actually, I think my shot might be done. So let's do that. And this is shot 290. I'm going to render it, and I'm actually going to cut this into the show. So I'm going to pop this up onto the other screen so I can see what the heck I'm doing. 1, 2, 3, 290. There's a good bit left on this shot, because it comes back to TNR, and she's got some more lines of dialogue, but I think for today we've done a pretty decent job of getting this together. Okay, and here's 290. So what do we have here? What the heck is this? 289F. I better come back here and see what annoying. Okay, so she sort of is sulking. She sees the action going down over there. We got to redo that. I mean, we have to do that shot, obviously. Golik has his line. She says, tell me all about it. And she's looking back here. Okay. So I'm going to say that Control L. At this point, we've got this, 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 up to here. All of this coming out. Here, we go to our project media, and we're going to import 290. Boop 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 doo. Where are you, 290? Where are? Oh, there you are. Render. Image sequence. Coming in at 8 frames per second. Kind of lost our place here in the media pool, unfortunately, so I need to. There it is. Okay. Grab that. turn off the resampling, slide those babies downstream. Okay, I have to say that on balance, I really like the look I'm getting. So she kind of falls down, and I'm going to actually cut that quicker because technically her hand, she's not leaning on her hand. That's probably okay. We're done for today, folks. That's it. That's the shot. Unfortunately, it's only 15 seconds. So I would have liked to have been able to get more done, but man, there's just so much a man can do in one day. By gum. But I will say, it looks pretty good. Definitely feels good from a sort of a storytelling standpoint. I cannot complain. And I'm pretty critical of myself, I think. Wait a second, what's going on here? That's interesting. Oh, I see what's going on. Okay, yeah, I actually had to do a reboot. And so the latest version of this, well, that explains a lot. That's why the storyboard looked a little goofy to me. All this stuff has to be re-edited, re-imported, and edited into the show. So with that, I am going to clean the project media pool, save my work, and say later, folks. It's been a really productive session today in Blender and Krita. As I discovered with Tahoma the other day, same lesson again. If I had it to do over again, wouldn't have bothered with Blender. I would have just done it straight in Krita, and it probably would have gotten done. Well, you can see, I mean, you guys can see how quickly these last few shots came together. So is there any doubt that if I hadn't dinked around with Blender that this all would have been probably done in an hour's less time maybe? So yeah, not that that's the most important thing in the world, but well, time is money. Time is money. Anyway, so that's it. I'm out of here. Have a good night, and as you guys know, there will be more later. And the street